plants combined will produce 86 gigawatt hours, making them what I believe will be the largest battery plants in the country.
We begin this morning with reaction from Ford executives and Governor Andy Beshear, who you heard from there, on that blockbuster $5.8 billion investment here in the Commonwealth.
The auto giant's plan to build twin battery manufacturing plants in Hardin County is the single largest economic investment in the state's history. Ford, in partnership with South Korean company SK Innovation, announced it will build those plants on a more than 1,500-acre campus in Glendale to manufacture batteries for electric F-Series pickups. The move promises to bring 5,000 full-time jobs to the Commonwealth. It's part of Ford's plan to transition to electric vehicles.
We're going to jumpstart a whole new industry in America, high-tech battery production. Together, these facilities will have the capacity to build nearly twice as many batteries as are built in all of America today.
The investment will bring an influx of new people to the close-knit community of Glendale, which currently has a population of roughly 1,700 people. One small business owner tells us she's already making plans to expand her restaurant.
I think it'll be wonderful for all the small businesses. This business in particular, we may have to do an extension on because I feel like we are going to be so busy.
The economy, they need it out here, and this is an awesome little town.
According to Ford's North American Chief Operating Officer, the first of the two battery plants that will be built there is set to begin production in 2025, with the second going online in 2026.
A grand jury dismissed burglary charges against 6 University of Kentucky football players, and that's according to a report from our digital partners with the Lexington Herald-Leader. Back in March, the 6 Wildcats were accused of taking part in a brawl at a fraternity party after 3 of them were asked to leave. One player, DeVito Tisdale, faced an additional charge of wanton endangerment. With the charges dropped, all 6 players have been cleared to return to team activities. And Kentucky's next football game is this Saturday at home in Lexington against the 10th-ranked Florida Gators, and that game is sold out. Now, in an overwhelming decision, Louisville's corrections officers voted no confidence in the city's jail director. 97% of the union members representing the city's corrections officers voted no confidence in LMDC Director Dwayne Clark last night. The news comes after we learned earlier this month that Louisville council members say low staffing levels at the city's jail are putting officers and inmates in danger. Jail leaders are citing a nationwide job shortage, and the Louisville mayor's office released a statement calling the vote, quote, insulting, saying in part, this vote is disappointing, short-sighted, and insulting to a dedicated and celebrated veteran of the corrections field. The statement goes on to discuss the nationwide shortage of corrections officers and says that despite this vote, the mayor has confidence that Director Clark will continue working toward creative solutions to a national challenge and encourages the FOP to drop the war of words and work as a team with management to solve challenges far bigger than any one person. Now, the FOP Lodge that represents corrections employees called the mayor's statement a slap in the face. In a Facebook post, Lodge 77 reports 2 corrections officers submitted resignations Tuesday and anticipates more could follow.
Following the death of a high school student who was shot while waiting for a bus last week in Louisville, LMPD Chief Erica Shields says she wants officers back in schools. JCPS Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio says an increased police presence would not have stopped the violence. He also says he's disappointed in the conversation being had following the death of 16-year-old Tyree Smith.
We have no idea whether that would have had impact on this specific scenario or not.
And the problem is, by not having trained law enforcement there, we are not getting any of the information that we need to know what's going to come back into our communities.
Polio says it would be difficult to hire a school resource officer for each school, and it's a conversation that should be had with the JCPS Board of Education. When COVID-19 first hit the country, it disrupted standardized testing in schools.
That's right. As Spectrum News 1's Joe Ragusa reports, the Kentucky School Report Card is back this year, although education officials are warning not to read too deep into the numbers.
Students across Kentucky took KSA tests in the spring, tests that replaced K-Prep this year. Jefferson County Public Schools Superintendent Marty Polio says he's not happy with the timing.
Probably the most disappointed I've been in a governmental agency in requiring standardized testing for students at the end of last school year, especially after what kids, faculty, staff, and everybody went through for the better part of 15 months prior to that testing.
These are the first standardized tests students took since the pandemic started, and the Kentucky Department of Education released the results this morning. Education Commissioner Jason Glass says people shouldn't read too deeply into the numbers, though.
These are different tests on different standards, and they were administered under unusual circumstances to fewer students.
On top of the KSA tests, Kentucky students also took the ACT this spring, something Glass says is a more consistent measure of change. The average composite score dropped a full point from 2019 down to 18 this year. Glass says he's not surprised by the drop.
I think it also shows that we've got work to do to recover from this. We should be clear-eyed that this is not something that we're likely to be able to fix in a few months or even perhaps in a year. We're going to have to work our way out of this. But we also shouldn't make an inference that this is a permanent drop. Again, this is an unusual set of circumstances and year, and 1 year doesn't make a trend.
The school report card does show an achievement gap between students from wealthier families and those deemed to be economically disadvantaged. Among high schoolers in JCPS who were deemed proficient or distinguished in a subject, there was a 28-point gap in reading, a 30-point gap in writing, a 24-point gap in science, and a 30-point gap in math. Polio says it's a long-standing issue in Jefferson County.
The achievement gap clearly exists. Whatever that data shows, it would be hard-pressed for me to say it has not been exacerbated as a result of the pandemic.
And because of the pandemic, Polio says parents shouldn't judge schools for having lower scores than previous years.
Not for my sake, not for any, but for our children being labeled something that I don't think they should be, and our teachers and staff and principals for working so hard and addressing the needs of kids. I think we owe it to them.
In Louisville, Joe Ragusa, Spectrum News.
Joe, thanks for that report. And this year's school report card does not include any rankings or other accountability measures based on results from 2021, and those will likely return next year.
The country's top military commanders are testifying publicly for the first time since the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin defended the exit Tuesday, testifying the U.S. did not believe Afghanistan would fall in a matter of days. But CENTCOM Commanders General Kenneth McKenzie and Joint Chiefs Chairman General Mark Milley seem to contradict President Biden, who said this back in August.
In this timeline, they wanted you to keep about 2,500 troops.
No, they didn't. It was split. That wasn't true.
I recommended that we maintain 2,500 troops in Afghanistan.
Top military leaders will once again testify before Congress today about the end of the Afghanistan war, this time before the House Armed Services Committee.
Simone Biles says she should have quit the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team long before the Games in Tokyo. The 24-year-old shocked many when she abruptly withdrew from most of the summer's competition, citing a case of the twisties, and that's where a gymnast loses track of their positioning while in midair. Simone Biles recently told New York Magazine that she should have realized she was not mentally ready to compete in light of the media frenzy surrounding the Larry Nassar trial. Biles also unexpectedly lost an aunt while competing in Japan. She ultimately bounced back during the games and managed to win a bronze medal in the balance beam event. And how much would you pay for an Oreo cookie? For some Pokemon fans, the answer could be thousands of dollars, and it's all because some of the Oreos feature a rare Pokemon. The collaboration with Pokemon debuted earlier this month, and the Pokemon Oreos feature various Pokemon embellished into the chocolate, but some feature the Mew, which is as rare as a unicorn, and one eBay seller in Sharpsburg, Maryland is asking for $10,000.
Real question, though. What are you going to do with that crusty cookie? You know, when it gets old, keeping it around, you paid $10,000 for it. What do you do with it?
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to let it sit? I mean, gold case around it? I mean, I don't know what to do with that, but love Oreos.
Me too. And my kids are a big fan of Pokemon. Mm-hmm. You know, I grew up with Pokemon.
I did too, yeah.
I saw those in the grocery store the other day, and I'm like, I'm going to have to pick up a box of those at some point. But we're not looking for the Mew. We're just there for the cookies.
Just there for the cookies and the cream in the middle of it,
exactly.
Obviously. Now, do you twist the Oreo? And then
no.
How do you eat your Oreo?
I just eat it straight.
Interesting.
Quicker, get more in, you know, eat a whole sleeve. Yes.
So you don't take your time. No wasting time.
Oh, my goodness. Matt, how do you eat your Oreo cookie?
I drown it in milk.
Oh.
Wait till the bubbles go away. R.I.P. Oreo. Time to go.
Bye-bye.
It is. I do like dipping my Oreos in milk. I don't do it very often, though, because I can't drink the milk after an Oreo's been dipped in it. I'm weird like that.
That's the best time to do it.
Yeah, we won't judge Kayla too hard for that. What do you have in
well,
weather for us today?
Lots of sunshine is headed our way for the rest of our Wednesday. We've got an area of high pressure that's still developed across the eastern U.S. That's going to keep us sunny across the Commonwealth as we go throughout the rest of our day. Temperatures are off to a mild start. We're in the lower 70s this morning in Louisville, upper 50s in Elizabethtown, 65 in Owensboro, 65 in Covington, and 62 in Lexington. And as we go throughout the rest of our morning hours, you can expect clear skies to be with us. Headed into 7:30 a.m., once again, still plenty of clear conditions across the state. We'll see that trend last until the later hours of the morning. By 11 a.m., I'm expecting statewide sunshine. This will be continuing as we head into the afternoon hours. By 1 p.m., a few higher level clouds are likely going to be developing across western Kentucky by the closer towards the evening hours by 4 p.m., but otherwise, I'm still expecting us to see mostly sunny conditions throughout the day. Temperatures are going to be a bit warmer today, though. I'm expecting 87 for a high in Louisville, 87 Owensboro, 83 in Covington, and 83 in Campbellsville. And we have another slightly cooler evening ahead for us. Going into the overnight hours, I'm expecting the lower 50s in Covington, 64 in Louisville, and in the mid-60s near Paducah with clear skies still with us. That's a little bit of a look at your statewide forecast. I've got your local weather details coming up in just a few short minutes.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. And those summer-like temperatures sticking around for another day.
I am okay with that. And I took a look at Matt's 7-day forecast and saw more sunshine, so I'm okay with that.
Exactly. I'll tell you what, I'm here for it.
That's right. I'm sure many people across the Commonwealth are as well. And we want to thank you for waking up with us and starting your Tuesday. And Citicom on your morning news, we're taking a deeper look at the economic impacts of Ford's investment into the Bluegrass. We have those stories and more when we return in just 3 minutes.